As you know, this meeting is recorded and will be uploaded to public internet. So watch what you are saying. All right, so one update regarding Kubebatch, also known as Volcano recently. There was a long discussion about how we should proceed with that project, particularly because the project, after it was renamed to Volcano and it got expanded to support other things like QJobs, Coda, hierarchical code and stuff like that, we felt like it's no longer in the charter of SIG scheduling only. It spans multiple SIGs. As a result, we were contemplating whether we should keep it as a SIG repo or should it go and become a larger project of its own. So as you know, last week we decided that Klaus would reach out to the committee, as well as the steering committee, and as well as the SIG Arch to see how we should proceed. Yesterday, a steering committee had a meeting, and I was there. Quentin Holy from Huawei was there. So we discussed the possibilities, and I believe two possible options that everybody agreed on was, one, make this project a work group so that multiple SIGs can contribute to. Two, make it a completely independent project and donate it to CNCF, and so that it becomes a separate CNCF project. So it's now up to Huawei to decide. I had a brief chat with Klaus. I believe Klaus' preference is to make it a work group, and it might be actually a little easier for folks who want to contribute to the project as well as contributing to Kubernetes if it's a work group. So we will see. But anyway, that's what we have so far. Any questions?
Yeah, so I was initially thinking about making it as part of a working group, but my understanding is working group should not own any code.
So you're right. I believe the code will be owned by probably SIGs or something, but you're right. I don't know exactly how this is gonna go really. I don't have a whole lot of expertise with respect to the responsibilities of SIGs versus work groups or working groups. I would leave it up to Huawei and the steering committee to decide. Really, you're right. Maybe they shouldn't do this if they want to own code.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the things that we were discussing internally, I mean, at least within Red Hat, is how can we have this particular component part of core scheduler so that the customer does not have to do use this as an add-on component or something. So I'm fine with if this is owned by SIG, but yes, you are right that it has actually grown beyond the scope of SIG scheduling.
So yeah. The problem is, initially that was our plan. Basically, what I mean by that is that the plan was that we would bring Kubebatch and batch scheduling capabilities as a part of core scheduler. After it got converted or changed the scope to Volcano, it's no longer just a batch scheduler. So my understanding is that it goes well beyond the charter of only a SIG. It covers some lifecycle management aspect of batch jobs. It covers Coda management and probably even hierarchical Codas. It requires some significant changes to the API. So anyway, it's just not something that we can host as just one SIG. It feels like it goes beyond the scope of just one SIG. And that's why we decided to go this path. But if it was only just about the scheduling and gang scheduling and batch scheduling and all, you're right. We could have had it as a part of the core scheduler. Still, we are gonna probably bring some of these features eventually as a part of core, or at least build some similar features in core as well, and that's our plan. But whether we can have that project or not in the SIG is the main question now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Any other question about that? All right. One more reminder about code freeze. Sorry, this is enhancement freeze, not code freeze yet. So enhancement freeze is on April 30th, as far as I can remember. So we are only 5 days away. If you have any KEP that needs to be merged by then, please let me know. As far as I know, most of the stuff that we wanted to do for 115 already have KEPs and already merged. Jonathan sent out a KEP yesterday. Well, it's just an initial version to see whether the direction he's going is correct or not. I've already commented on that KEP. The KEP is about basically supporting physical host spreading. You know, there is this feature that I proposed that we should try to spread pods among physical hosts other than just nodes, because in a lot of scenarios, multiple nodes land on the same physical host, and it would be great if we have some information about the actual underlying physical host so that we can spread pods among those physical hosts for reliability reasons. So if one of those physical hosts goes down, it doesn't bring almost all of the services or a large number of instances of the service with itself. So that's the feature that we are targeting for 115. At this point, we are not so sure if we can have it in 115. The main reason for it is that there is a bigger discussion about what kind of labels can be standardized. So we currently have a few labels for like zone and region and node or node name, which I believe is host name if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, we have a few of these standard labels, and we're trying to also add another one for physical hosts. But whether we should go this path or not is a bigger discussion. There are some email threads going on, but I still ask Jonathan to write this KEP so that some of the discussions can be redirected to this KEP, and we can decide whether we should go with having one more standard label. So with a particular semantic, basically, this label is going to indicate that a node is on a particular physical host. So basically, it's a label for the physical host, and the scheduler is going to treat that label especially, and it's going to spread pods among those physical hosts. So the discussion about whether this is the path that we should pursue or not is ongoing. We will know, hopefully, in the next few days whether this is doable or not, or whether this is approved or not. So these are the updates from me. I know that there is another KEP for adding or supporting less than and greater than operators and affinity. I believe it's I always get confused. It's basically for label selectors. So supporting less than and greater than for label selectors. That KEP is still ongoing. API reviewers had some comments. Daniel, particularly, also known as Lavalamp, and with his GitHub ID, has some comments about that. That is an ongoing discussion. We will know whether we can have that or not. There are a couple of concerns about that particular approach. One is performance. You must make sure that it is performant. The second concern is backward compatibility. We must make sure that it's going to be backward compatible. And in the case of rollback, we can also, if we, for example, upgrade to a new version that supports less than and greater than, and suddenly we have to roll back, we need to be able to somehow tolerate the feature and sort of support it. So these are some of the items that we're working on. I don't know if you guys have other KEPs that needs to be reviewed or approved. If there is, please let me know now. Okay. That's, I guess, all the updates that I had. Do you guys have any updates, questions, comments? Oh, by the way, I also would like to thank Wei for his new efforts. You know, Wei had this PR to improve affinity and anti-affinity performance, particularly, I guess, affinity. But that PR caused some other performance degradation and some of our benchmarks. I mean, improve one thing and reduce performance in other areas. So that PR got reverted. Now Wei has worked and found the reason for this slowdown and has sent another PR that has removed that particular problem. So the PR is merged. We're waiting for the results. Hopefully by the end of today, we will know how this new version works. Yeah, Wei, if you have anything to add, please go ahead.
Yeah, it seems in the original PR, I threw the rubbish of my home to my neighbors. So yeah, this time I figured out the root cause. I think I figured out the root cause. It's kind of that we additional put the initialization for int 64 pointer whenever it's affinity case or non-affinity case. So, but it really hurts the performance of non-affinity case. So, yeah.
This is actually a great point. I'm glad that you found this and for the information of other folks. So there was just initialization, basically new int64. There was we had like one large array of int64s, one per node. You may think that this shouldn't be a problem, right? So you're just allocating one int64 for each node in the cluster, and this actually caused performance reduction, performance degradation was significant. And if you look at some of these graphs, you see that suddenly priority evaluation of the whole scheduling has increased. The latency of priority evaluation has increased quite a bit by this seemingly benign change. Anyway, it's this is a good lesson for a lot of us to measure performance, because a lot of times we don't think that small things or small changes make a lot of difference, but they actually do. We have seen this in other areas as well. But thank you, Ray, for finding that out. Yeah, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. That's what I want to mention. That yeah, in the beginning of us, you, Ravi, and I also looking into the code. We cannot figure out what's the real problem, right? But the data, the testing data doesn't lie. So right. I spent one whole week to, firstly, I want to simulate the end-to-end testing, simulate that testing, which the KubeMark 5000 did. Later on, I think it's impossible because it used 83 real nodes. I don't have so much nodes, so I turn to other ways to kind of try to reproduce that issue.
Okay. Did you manage to eventually run KubeMark at all, or you tried other methods?
Actually, I figured out. I fixed two issues in KubeMark actually, so it turns out. And no, I can set up a KubeMark cluster. I can do that, but I haven't run the real KubeMark test, because it's in the GCE or KubeMark 5000. It needs to the Haro master to spin up.
Yes.
Part you can directly connect to or SSH to. So for example, for the IBM cluster, you cannot do that. So I haven't run it. Maybe there are some other ways to, for example, to use another independent way. And I mean, independent vendor, for example, KubeADM acting as the Haro master, or just plain VM acting as the Haro master, so you can do that. So that you can have more control.
I see. Yeah. I see. Okay. All right. Thank you for the update. Is there anything else from other folks?
Yeah. By the way, I haven't found a tip to kind of simulate a local development environment to have multiple worker nodes. So if you are interested, maybe next time I can do a very short demo because right now, I think the most easiest way to debug your scheduler is run local app cluster. That's also my favorite way, but it only spin up a one node, right? So for practice, it's fine in most cases, but for priority, of course, you cannot do that because it directly returns if the available nodes is one, right? So I can locally simulate a hollow. It's a fake node. It actually registers itself as a node. Of course, it's acting as a kubelet, but it doesn't do anything beyond CRI. In other words, it doesn't spin up a real container or pod, but it registers the pod information as ready to API server. So maybe next time I can do a short demo.
Yeah.
I think it helps local debugging and local development.
Yeah, that sounds great. Actually, we'll be happy to see all of that information that you have found. These are useful for debugging and also for performance tuning. I myself sometimes try to reproduce problems in integration tests, but as you know, for performance testing, integration tests are not always great. Sometimes the results are not exactly the same as real benchmarks, real cluster benchmarks. So something like a local cluster will be a little closer to a real cluster scenario, and hopefully those results are closer to or more accurate than just integration tests.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other updates? Okay. If there is no other updates, we can end the meeting today. Thank you very much for attending. I will see some of you guys next week. And by the way, one quick thing, we are going to have, if you were not here last week, we are going to have a contributor summit meeting, face-to-face meeting for SIG scheduling. If you're going to KubeCon, try to attend our meeting. All right, that's all. Thank you very much again, and see some of you folks next week. Bye.
Yeah,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.